Well, that's not what I meant to do. Yello, and welcome to episode 11 of my Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker playthrough. So a bit of housekeeping first. My new NVMe has arrived, everything's been reinstalled, we're all up and running. My old one's gone back for refund, woohoo. And I didn't do what I was planning on doing. Instead, what I ended up doing was going to Labyrinthos and... God damn, the names escape me now. Favnir. And we've got our speed increase in those two zones. So we did 6 fates apiece. To which end, the next zone that we head to, which is looking like it's potentially Garlemald, I will be making a point of collecting the first 6 fates that are nearby, or if there's a fate nearby, I'll make a point of going and doing it. I'll cut that out, one way or the other, but if I see one, I'm going to go do it because it only takes 6 and mount speed boost about doubles your mount speed. It is quite useful. So, let us continue. Hope you don't mind us barging into your room for our late night feast. For what it's worth, it did me the world of good to put our troubles to one side, if only for a moment. Kral and Grahat here have a pleasant conversation until you barged in. We're having a pleasant conversation until you barged in. What's that? Yeah, so these coffers are still not going to be quite as good as the equipment that I'm already wearing. Oh, there you are. Feeling refreshed, I hope? I was about to make my way to the Studium, as it happens. I wanted to try and speak with Skarlark Monichani and thank him for coming out, or coming to our rescue in the Rose Vostar. As it turns out, he came here to see us following the hearing, only to find out we had already departed for Favnir. Knowing him, he was probably hoping to chew the cud with his former students. Since we're still waiting for Yustola and the others, I thought now is the perfect time to pay him a visit. Care to join me? And then it's settled. The twins will be coming too, assuming Alphinaud can tear himself away from his new toys. I'll let you rally the troops while I go on ahead to the phenomenon. Considering my recent improprieties, perhaps I should avoid showing my face around the Studium for a time. That might be for the best. If the others should return, tell them that we will not be long. Okay, where's Alphinaud and Alisaie? Outside. If my father can master these fiendish contraptions, then so can I. Heading out for a stroll? The Skarlark himself was there. In that case, what are we waiting for? I too am eager to see him. Though I somewhat dread the thought of visiting the Studium, I dare say our notoriety precedes us. Alphinaud of all people worrying over his reputation, and at our alum matter no less. I'm not sure. I want to say alumni, but that looks like it's alum. Alim? Yeah. Will wonders never cease? You'll understand soon enough. Off we go. So if memory serves, we can go straight there. It feels like only yesterday that I first walked through those doors. See that sculpted picture above the entrance? That's the mark of Thalek, the scholar, bearer of the waters of knowledge. It's no exaggeration to say that Sharia itself was one enormous shrine to him, and that's especially notable here in the Studium. There's the smooth jazz. Here it is, the phenomenon. While I expect you made note of it before, one can hardly miss it. This is the first time you've been here on official business, correct? While most of the space here is taken up by expensive auditoriums, it also houses numerous laboratories, testing grounds for experimental magics, and a host of administrative offices and so forth. At the centre of which would later become the Studium. It was established to promote the studies of etherology or etherological phenomenon, hence the name. How can I say words like that without batting an eye and there's just 4-letter words that I have no idea how to pronounce? Though with ether being a fundamental aspect of nature, its scope expanded to include every conceivable facet of life and even the universe itself. And then, in the 432nd year of the 6th astral era, Phenomenon was decreed complete and the Studium officially opened as a place of learning. With a long and storied history, it is without question the world's leading authority in aetherology. The arcane, the occult, astronomy... Is that astronomy? Yeah, astronomy, not astrology. And countless other fields. Standing proud as Sharlayan's foremost educational institute. I'm guessing he's repeating something verbatim. You always did enjoy giving the grand tour to new students. Yeah, stuff he's said before. Indeed, I've long since lost track of how many times he's recited that same floppish speech. Such is his undying love for his old stomping ground. He was in the top form back then, youngest to enter the Studium, graduated with highest honours in magical arts and aetherology, undisputed champion of debating chamber. The debating chamber. Hold on, you both joined the Studium at the same age, yes? From where I stand, you are equally prodigious scholars. Nice of you to say, but Alphinaud actually entered a half year before me, nor did I do well enough to graduate with honours. I am certainly not the Studium's most noticeable master debater. There was a debater in there. Although I'm fairly sure they put that in deliberately to trip people up. In all respects, I've ever been in his shadow. If nothing else, just remember that this was where the legend of Alphinaud Leveilleur began. We should expect everyone to be fully aware of our recent escapades. Hopefully, we'll be somewhat more welcome here than we were at the last stand. I know better than anyone the adoration the student body has for Alphinaud, and with a bit of luck, it might work in our advantage. Well, there's no time like the present. First things first, let's look for Scholark Monochaney. Pronounced that twice already, or differently twice already. Other faculty tend to frequent their office, but unfortunately for us, he's fond of wandering wheresoever his whims take him. Let's split up and ask the students if they've seen him. Ooh, the Tainer Bell. Well, this is where we do our crafting discipline stuff, or we will do, eventually. That was Alphinaud Leveilleur, wasn't it? The Alphinaud Leveilleur? And he was with his sister, and Master Baldician's granddaughter. This can only mean one thing. An event of epoch-shattering proportions is fast approaching. Spread the word! Oh, sorry. I said you were looking for these. You said you were looking for the Scholark, yes? Knowing him, he could be anywhere. But Miss Alphonse should have a better idea. Are you lost? Or wandering off the street, perhaps? Wait, don't tell me. You're a trainee gleaner fresh off the guild ship. I'm right, aren't I? Oh, how silly of me. An orientation is in order. Allow me to bid you a warm welcome to the Searcher's Meet. Let me start with a question. What is the most important thing you'll find in the Studium? That's right, books. And what's the second most important? Why? That's simple. Everything else. That's what we deal in here in the Searcher's Meet. Whenever a student or a tutor finds themselves in need of equipment or materials, they come to us. If we don't have it in our stores, we send the gleaners off to find it. Honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the requests we get. Eye of the Passier, this, tongue of the giant toad that, it's enough to make your hair stand on end. Which is possibly what some of our students are trying to accomplish, this being a school of magic and all. As our newest gleaner, you'll have your work cut out for you, but I think you'll find it quite rewarding. I'm only interested in gleaning. The only thing I'm interested in gleaning is information about the Scholark's whereabouts. I've tracked down many miscellaneous knickknacks in my time, but I'm no gleaner. Oh, so what you're telling me is you're not a gleaner. Yes, that's exactly what you said, isn't it? And you're looking for the Scholark? I'm afraid we don't have any of those in stock, but I can... Oh, you mean him? He was here, but now he's not. I did speak with him shortly before you arrived, though he said he was on his way to make us meet. Go back the way you came in, and you'll see it on the opposite side of the entrance. It's a laboratory of sort. Home to many rare and expensive curios, not to mention alarmingly frequent accidents. If you lose your way, just follow the blood-curdling screams. In the time it's taken me to tell you all of this, the Scholark has probably already left. Best of luck finding him. I've a feeling you'll need it. It is very subtly introducing me to what's going to be the Crafter and Gatherer quests. I say very subtly, it is not so very subtly. Level-headed student. Yes, the Scholark was here a short while ago. He offered me advice on my current research project. Though we spoke at length, I don't recall him mentioning where he was planning to go next. When we parted ways, he went down the corridor. Perhaps to one of the auditoriums? There he is. Why do I get the feeling that's not a lookout spot? Oh, it is. Never mind.
Ah, I remember you.
This room has a good echo to it.
I pray we have not caught you at an inopportune moment. We wanted to offer our thanks for your kind words in the forum.
Well, I could hardly let that Inquisition go unchallenged. I've always believed that curiosity should be nurtured, not stifled. Thankfully, a majority of my colleagues agreed. A slender majority, aye, but a majority nonetheless.
Had the vote not gone our way, we would be having a very different conversation, if any at all. Though I'd like to think you would have not given up on our cause. I'm told you paid a visit to the Annex afterwards.
Yes, that's right. I was hoping to speak with the grandchildren of my dearly departed friends Galuf and Louisoix in a less dour setting. But it seems I just missed you. I still can't believe how much you've grown. If only your grandsires could have seen the way you presented yourselves to the Forum. Why, it fair brought a tear to my own eye. You must have the patience of a saint, putting up with this lot and their antics. Never mind Montoya's prize student.
He ain't wrong.
Luckily, I know a thing or two about managing unruly younglings. If you ever need advice, don't hesitate to ask.
If I may, there is a rather more pressing matter we wish to discuss. What can you tell us of this duty that the Forum must fulfill?
Nothing, I'm afraid. Like all humble servants of the Forum, I am sworn to secrecy. Or rather, I couldn't tell you if I tried. Our duty is of the gravest importance. Furthermore, if the particulars were made public, it would incite widespread panic. As such, those entrusted with this duty have been bound by an enchantment, which prevents us from speaking of such matters without the express permission of the Forum.
How is that even possible?
It's been some time since I last gave a lecture. Please, take a seat.
Them some big ass desks.
We shall begin by reviewing the fundamentals of etherology. The ether, which imbues us with life, can be categorized into three forms. Two are of the incorporeal sort, the soul and the memory. Can anyone tell me the third?
The body, we know this. Corporeal ether.
Yes, very good. This is the form with which the layman is most familiar. Consumed by even the simplest of daily activities, and replenished by the food and drink that sustain us, this form of ether is in constant flux. In contrast, the ether that comprises the soul is rarely subject to dramatic change. The same can be said for memory, as the two are intrinsically linked. Picture the soul as paper, and memories as words written upon it. Now, what would happen if that paper was doused with ink? The same type of ether as comprises the memories.
You would obscure the memory. Redacted.
It would blot out everything that was written.
Precisely. We would be unable to recall the memories, and any activities that depend upon them would be hindered as well. In fact, this exact phenomenon was observed on a vast scale not so long ago. And what might that have been?
The Calamity.
The seventh Umbral Calamity.
Or more specifically, we think it was the result of Louisoir's spell to send us forward in time. Or the legacy players forward in time. I'm technically not a legacy player. I didn't play for long enough.
The people of Eorzea vividly recall Bahamut breaking free of the Lesser Moon and raining hellfire down upon the realm. But no one could seem to remember the events that followed immediately afterwards.
Indeed. To this day, we have yet to determine whether it was an unintended consequence or a deliberate act. The enchantment which binds me and the rest of the Forum is based on a similar principle. And yes, it is a contravention of the Sharlayan prohibition against the practice of memory manipulation. Only when a new member is inducted and told of our great duty are they subjected to the process. A necessary evil. You have my word that it would never be used to manipulate the populace.
I should hope not. But can this enchantment be dispelled and your memories restored?
If 9/10 of our members give their approval, then the process may be reversed. Then, and only then, would we be able to speak freely to others of our sacred duty. Barring that, we must wait until we return to the Ethereal Sea.
Wait, return to the Ethereal Sea? You mean die?
For there we will be purified, the blots upon our souls washed clean. And our memories drift apart and dissolve. Rather defeating the purpose, I suppose. But there are those memories that are indelibly etched upon our souls, some believe.
What happens after that?
We are reduced to pure ether, coalesce with that of others, and create souls anew. Alternative schools of thought assert souls remain whole and return to the corporeal world, reborn into another form.
It could be a mix of either, but from what we know of the Ascians, it is more the latter than the former.
Both theories have their proponents. Personally, I consider each equally probable.
But we know the latter is more probable.
Well, I think that's enough education for today, now that I've given you some food for thought. Or rather, an entire banquet. I would remind you that although I'm unable to assist you with certain matters, the resources at my disposal may still be of use to you. I'll arrange for you all to be given the run of Phenomenon. Of course, as associate to our alumni and the students of Baldessian, this privilege is extended to you as well, my friend. Oh, and I suggest you speak with Key Aliapo. She's well known among the artisans of Sharlayan, and her network of contacts may prove useful in your search for knowledge. I wish you all the best in your pursuits, wheresoever they may take you.
How long do you think it'll take me to forget that it's Aliapo? Place your bets now. I'm betting 5 minutes. You have been granted the run of the phenomenon. If you are game, Aliapu would put your artisanry to the good use. Yeah, that's what that is. We're not going to bother unlocking that now. We'll leave it because what I'm probably end up doing is once I've got to the end of the story, then I'm going to start doing all the craft and gather stuff on my off time. Because I'm going to need access to all of the zones anyway to power level them, so it's not worth it. Some of my earliest memories of Skolok Monticini, actually. He was a close friend of our grandfather. He would come for tea and amaze us with his tricks. Much like his demonstration with the paper and ink, he's a huge part of why I wanted to enter the Studium in the first place. While the Skolark is best known for his role as head of the Studium, he is said to be one of the finest mages Charlian has ever produced. Having seen for myself the ease at which he weaves extraordinary, complex and powerful magics, I have no reason to doubt that claim. Crowd is still digesting a rather hefty portion of food for thought. Well, that gives me much to mull over. I feel as though we're one step closer to understanding the Forum's true motives, and the mystery of life itself, for good measure. It's funny, I came here with the intent of expressing my gratitude, only to leave more indebted than before. I have a feeling his friendship and support will be a great boon to us in the days to come. On that note, let's head back to the Annex. Perhaps on the way, you could better acquaint yourselves with Alisaie, as the Skolark suggested, while I share our findings with Raha. Nope, that can wait. Are there any other blue things yet? We haven't got to... No, we've not got to 83 yet. Which is a shame. If we got to 83, one's going to run over there and grab a new set of, oh, what are they called? Hunt marks. Because they're actually decent experience if you just want to chip away at levels of old classes in a day. Every day. Oh, Studium's back, or did he never leave? Having spent most of the time in Fabnia, I've yet to fully grasp the lay of the land here in Charlia. Ever finding my way to the Annex, or even finding my way to the Annex, proves a challenge. Studium returned not long after we departed for the Studium. A shame that he missed the chance to attend our lecture with the Skolark, or perhaps not. Yeah, I don't think he would have given a hoot. It seems I've done an adequate job of relaying the Skolark's lecture to Raha. Given his experience in the field of souls and memory, he had no trouble in understanding it. You better not let your guard down around Qui. One small favour becomes another, then another, and before you know it, you'll be running to the other side of the world in search of a bottle of wine or some other rubbish. No, that's happened to me before. It's a fair warning. That has happened to me before. And then it might take for a welcome change of pace. Then again, it might take for a welcome change of pace from your usual heroics. And as the Skolark said, it could also lend to some interesting discoveries. Welcome back. From what I hear, your trip to the Studium proved most educational. While you were away, I received word from our fellow Scions. As expected, news of the Warden Scales was met with much joy. Preparations are now underway to bring the leadership of the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance together to determine a way forward. Our friends have asked that we bring the scales in our possession to Limsa Minsa. So the time has come for us to go on the offensive. It's too early to say for certain, but that does seem to be the way the winds are blowing. I, for one, can think of no reason to oppose such a plan, but let's see what awaits us in Velband. Close, I think that's slightly wrong. Let's start by getting the scales out of storage. Give me a hand, would you, Estinian? Whew, I didn't realize these crates were so heavy. I shouldn't complain, though. Vitra and the alchemists of the great work put their hearts and soul into each and every one of these scales, so you must treat them with the utmost care. Are you not coming with us? As much as I would like to escape the Forum's watchful gaze, I have little choice but to stay behind. We're already on thin ice, and if I, in my capacity as official representative, were found to be consorting with foreign powers, well, you can imagine how that would go. I shall remain here and do my utmost to avoid ruffling any more feathers, as I await word from Master Matoya and our other allies. With luck, we'll soon have good news, of our own to share. The tide is about to turn. I can feel it. To Linsa Laminsa. To Linsa Laminsa. But before that, if you learn aught of interest, be sure to let me know. In the meantime, I will do what I can to aid our cause. Though I fear that will be precious little given the circumstances. Enter the command room. Command room is that away. That away, yes. That away, yes. That away, no. This way. I was looking for this big rock. Hello, please let me in. I was told to expect you. As you may or may not be aware, the Admiral is at present entertaining the Elder Seasier and the Sultan. 3 of the most powerful women in the world in one room. Do you need a moment to prepare, or shall I show you, or show them in? Show you into them. Show you to them is how we pronounce that. My apologies for calling you away from Charlian at such short notice. On the contrary, we are honoured and grateful, and a pleasant surprise to be joined by such esteemed company. It was only right that this decision be conducted in person. We are locked in a war of attrition, our forces struggling to contain the threat posed by the towers, and it's only a matter of time before we are overwhelmed. Victory will not only be claimed through decisive action. And we have taken the initiative to set the wheels in motion. It is reassuring to learn that we are all in accord. But might I ask what your plan entails? It hinges entirely on the Warden Scales and our ability to utilize their potential to the fullest. During your time in Charlia, the Allied nations have been engaged in on separate fronts, with no end in sight. To make matters worse, a surge in abductions of kobolds, Shahagin, Ixil, and Anata have given rise to an increased number of primals as well. But your triumph in Razathan has given us cause to hope once more. The time has come to free ourselves of this menace. And it is you, Scions of the Seventh Dawn, who have showed us the way. While the bulk of our forces will continue to hold the Tolofoi at bay, we will dispatch our finest to strike at the enemy's heart, Garlemald. Those brave few will be the Ilzabard contingent. To think such progress has been made in such a short span. The objectives are twofold. The first is to provide aid to the people of Garlemald. As previously reported, countless Imperial soldiers and civilians have been tempered. Robbed of their free will, they serve the Tolofoi's every whim without question. They too are victims. It is our duty to deliver them from suffering, not for strategic or political gain, but because it's the right thing to do. I do not ask that we set aside our decades of conflict and conquest, that we simply choose to forgive and forget. I only ask that in choosing to remember that we are not also forsaking our compassion and moralities, for without that, there can be no reconciliation, only death without end. Aye, on that we can all agree. Our second objective is the colossal tower that Thancred and Urianger observed in the capital. Though its purpose remains unclear, there's reason to believe that the smallest spires are merely a precursor of what's yet to come. Until the Tower Zot was toppled, we failed to make any headway. Though the same could be said of the Telopheroi. They're certainly in no rush to press further into our lands. I'd wager the Spire's primary purpose is to divide and keep us occupied while they work towards our annihilation. This would appear to be sustained by Ustola's analysis of the tower's influence on the ethereal currents. Based on her observations inside the Tower of Zot, the Spires siphon the ether from the land, consuming it to maintain their form. However, they draw forth far more than is required for this task alone. The excess of ether remains unaccounted for, but we can be sure it is not being harnessed for our benefit. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if it was being redirected to the large spire in the capital. There's a logic to that. Regardless, once we have uncovered the truth, we'll bring their schemes crashing down along with their infernal towers. That's all well and good, but what would you have us do? I assume it's more than handing over the scales and being on our way. We want you and yours. We want you and your scales to join the Ilsabard contingent. Consider it an official request, both from the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance. Do you accept? Perhaps you should be the one to answer that. For honour and glory, for the people of Garlemald, for revenge against the Telopheroi. Let's go for the middle one. Couldn't have put it better myself. Yustola, Thancred and Urianger have already pledged their support, and are on their way to meet with the rest of the contingent. They were positive you would come to the same decision as they did. Luckily for all involved, their prediction was correct. Once you have embarked on the war, or once you have delivered the warding scales to Alamigo, the contingent will embark on its journey to Ilsabard. Wuban and Lord Americ are overseeing preparations, so I suggest you make yourself known upon arrival. Pack warm clothes, furs and the like. Without it, the cold will do you in before the Telopheroi so much as draw steel. As for us, we'll keep the enemy busy while you're gone. They're not the only ones who can create a diversion. Now go, safe in the knowledge that Eorzea will be as you left it, or better, upon your return. A distraction's not going to do much good. They're expecting us to go straight for them. At the very least, our friend, our enemy, is expecting us to go straight for him. Let's talk to all the people. You know, I'm quite looking forward to seeing who's been selected for the Ilsabard contingent. Excuse me. One sec. Sip of tea. I have a few people in mind. Care to make a friendly wager? I'll admit this is all rather daunting, though not quite the way I was expecting. We'll be standing shoulder to shoulder with our allies' finest, the best of the best, the warrior light and well, me. It's silly, I know. Perhaps this is my way of distracting myself from the part I should be worrying about, marching into Garlemald. I must quiz Thancred and Urianger on the conditions we can expect in Garlemald. I know it's cold, but how cold? Will I need to keep my ears covered? They can be a bit sensitive at times. If Amric asks after me, say I'm getting on fine and leave it at that. Don't you dare breathe a word about the cord. Excuse me? Why are you bothered about the cord? Are you bothered about how much you paid for the cord? Fancy meeting you here. I trust our mutual friend is settling into life as a scion. Collaboration never was his forte. The moment the fighting ends, off he'd go, like a galley cat, swept up in a strong breeze. Rest assured, he will always be there when you need him. Probably. The Wanderer's return. You've been busy, bringing down a tower and producing the key to destroying the rest of them. You should be proud. Those warden scales of yours are what's made this whole venture possible. Will you and Lord Amric be leading the contingent? Regrettably, no. Our role is to organise the various delegations into coherent unit. Once we have seen you all off, it's back to our respective posts. We dare not neglect our duties for too long, lest our defensive effort falls into disarray. And just between us, there was a fair amount of opposition to the formation of the Ilsward contingent. The very suggestion that we should send some of our finest troops behind enemy lines to render aid unto Garleans has made me rather unpopular in certain quarters. Can't please them all. Sadly not, though I do my best. Truth be told, I'd much rather be at your side, charging into the fray. Alas, I've battles of my own to fight, and where words may serve me better than any blade. I hate to say it, but the Lord Amaric's struggles mirror my own. For the time being, the best we can offer you is peace of mind from knowing Eorzea is in safe hands. As you fight the good fight in Ilsward, I and the other commanders will do whatever we can to convince the naysayers that our cause is just. Thank you, both of you. We meet again. Why, hello. We would need a guide. I am not surprised it's you. Much has occurred since we parted way from, Welts. That's not right. Wallet. From what I gander, the protective talismans you obtained led to the formation of this expeditionary force. My contribution on this occasion is but a minor one, that being the information I have shared with Maxima. For the sake of the people of Garlemald, may the fates be on your side. So you're not coming with us? Strange. I thought you would have a stake in this. I do. The Tolophobor has laid waste to my homeland and enslaved my people. But though every mote of my being cries for vengeance, I cannot be the one to deliver it. My presence alone would place the entire mission in jeopardy. I stand accused of murdering Emperor Varys and plunging Garlemald into chaos. Were I to travel to Ilsward or with the Ilsward contingent, it would give my countrymen ample cause to question our motives. Conversely, those who believe me innocent may instead celebrate the return of a former legatus, and attempt to raise me to the position of leadership, further destabilizing the reason and complicating the contingent's mission. Whether I'm branded a villain or hailed as a hero, I would only hinder your efforts. We will deliver your people from harm in your stead. I doubt they'll be pleased to see a champion of Eorzea set foot in Garlean soil. Let's go with the bottom one, because actually he cares about all. This one, no. This one he doesn't care about, because he would care more about his current task or the people that were there. So we'll say we'll go in his stead, and that will probably be more reassuring. But top and bottom are equally good choices here, from my opinion. We will deliver your people from harm in your stead. For what it's worth, you have my gratitude. You and your companions have the strength and courage to deliver my countrymen. I'm certain of it. In light of Gaius's rather unique circumstances, I instead will assume the role of your guide. Though I may have defected for political reasons, my love for Garlemald endures. I would stop at nothing to protect her and her people. Well said. Might I ask you escort our friends inside? You may even bump into an old acquaintance or two. And if I don't see you again ere you depart, may the Fury guide and protect you, all of you. Do we have a cut screen? Nicely timed. Okay, we'll call it there for this episode. I have time enough to record another one tonight. I've already got episode 9 and 10 ready to encode, so ideally I just need to get this one ready to encode, and then all 3 of them can encode overnight. But yeah, we'll call it there for now. Let's just step away for a moment and say thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. I will record one more today. We'll record episode 11. So I will see you very shortly, but you will see me next time. Cheerio.